Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we're going to talk about school shootings, a little bit of gun control, and my personal experience on these topics. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, where you can get all of our latest content, including the transcripts from yesterday's Jeffrey Epstein hearings, plenty of other reports, local reports, national reports that you don't want to miss. Sign up to follow us on minds.com, follow us on steemit/dtube, join our Discord channel. I definitely recommend signing up for our text list. And if you want to follow for videos away from YouTube, you can join on BitChute. And of course, if you want to support at patreon.com/Derrick Broze or subscribe.star.com/Derrick-Broze, you can do that there. And if you want to get Kratom and CBD, get it through My Brave Botanicals, and you help support our work as well. They give you a free ounce of Kratom the first time. Pretty good deal. So yeah, check that out. All right, guys. So, there's a wave of shootings going on. At least that's what we're being told in the media, and there's lots of reporting on that. And I want to shine an example on a couple of stories, and then, as I said, give you some of my background, personal thoughts. Jeez, what's up with these ads? Um, Go away, giant Facebook ad. I mean, giant Google ad. So this one, if you could see, if the headline wasn't there, is talking about how two young men arrested this month threatening mass shootings have posted on the websites known for its memes, which is iFunny. And I hadn't heard about this iFunny thing until one of the recent shootings, and I noticed that a kid had posted on there saying some crazy thing about wanting to shoot people, and then he was arrested from his home, and he wasn't even caught with guns. He was caught saying something crazy, and they went to his house, and they said, well, his father had guns, so he had access to the guns, so he could have done something. It said iFunny describes itself as a community for meme lovers and viral memes around the internet. It is full of your standard internet schlock, including screenshots of tweets, Tumblr posts, GIFs of The Office, TikToks, and Area 51 jokes. Yet on August 7th, the FBI arrested an 18-year-old Ohio man who allegedly, and it's funny how they say 18-year-old, like 18-year-old, yeah, I guess technically you're a legal adult, but dude, you're a kid, you're 18 years old, you're a teenager, you're barely, you don't know what the hell's going on, who allegedly threatened to shoot law enforcement officers in a post on iFunny. Then this past Friday, federal agents arrested a 19-year-old Chicago man. Again, I mean, 19-year-old, yes, you know something, but think about it, guys. If you're in your 20s or even 30s or any older, you know that when you were 18, 19, you really didn't know shit. For threatening to kill people at a women's reproductive health clinic. In the past year, Gab and 8chan, so, they're talking about iFunny. And they're just talking about how different people are getting arrested for posting things online. And this is something that we've covered for years, how these threats, people getting arrested for just things that they're saying online, whether Facebook or elsewhere. And you know what? Social media is sometimes a place for people to vent and to say, man, I had a shitty day. One of these, I'm so pissed off. I hate all my coworkers. Hey, maybe you don't say, I'm going to go shoot them all and take them all out, but you might vent and say something that you only mean in jest or out of frustration or whatever, right? But these things are being taken much more serious now because of the shootings. And with this video, we're not going to get into false flag shootings. We're not going to talk about whether these are crisis actors or this, that. So save your comments because that's not the topic of today. It doesn't mean I necessarily believe all these shootings are legitimate, but I do know it's a complicated situation with a lot involved, including people being on psychotropics, people being on drugs, including the media pumping that up. And then, yes, on top of that, whether or not a lot of these situations are legitimate. And even further back, we know that the FBI entraps a lot of people. And so sometimes you might have some crazy kid like this who's angry and saying something, and then the FBI provides them with explosives or what they think is explosives. And as soon as they show interest in it, they are arrested and then called a terrorist. So there's a push for people who are into conspiracies, being violent extremists, as we've been covering recently. The FBI put out that field intelligence bulletin about that. And so this one, though, this kid who posted on iFunny, it says in post from June, Olson, this kid, Justin Olson, 18-year-old, discussed the 1993 siege in Waco, which many people are upset about. And it says he blamed the ATF for the deaths of scores of people, which many people do blame the ATF, including myself. He was arrested August 7th, and authorities found more than 10,000 rounds of ammunition and 25 guns, including to an AR-15. According to charging documents. But again, they don't say this in this article, but I saw it reported elsewhere. Those weren't his guns as far as I remember, if I'm remembering the case right. These were just guns that were in possession of his dad or in his home. He allegedly told an FBI agent that his online comments were a joke and referred to it as hyperbolic conclusion based on the results of the Waco siege, where the ATF slaughtered families. He is charged with threatening to assault a federal law enforcement officer. Just over a week later, the FBI arrested 19-year-old Farhan Sheikh for a series of posts threatening to kill people at women's health clinics. He was arrested Friday and charged with transmitting a threat in interstate commerce. Around August 13th, the FBI learned that a user on iFunny had posted a threat. He apparently wrote, "I'm done with my state and their bullshit abortion laws and allowing innocent kids to be slaughtered for their so-called women's rights." He wrote that he planned to go to the clinic, which was about 4 miles from his home, and proceed to slaughter and murder any doctor. Now, look, I'm not saying these are not pretty crazy statements here, and I'm not saying that nothing should be done, but I do think we're getting into an area where it's like predictive arrest, predictive crime, pre-crime that we've talked about. Now, let me show you this one. This is about a teen who was arrested after posting on Discord. And as I just said a moment ago, we have a Discord channel. A mom said her son was just a little boy. Police said he could be the next kid from Parkland. So let's check this out because this is an interesting one. Police video showing a mom arguing with an officer who arrested her 15-year-old son for threatening to shoot up a school is going viral amid a spate of similar arrests around the country. A 15-year-old high school student is arrested at his home in Volusia County, Florida on Friday for allegedly making an online threat to shoot up a school. He wrote in his Minecraft chat, which was screenshotted and shared on Discord, "I, Dalton Barnhart, vow to bring my father's M15 to school and kill 7 people at a minimum." And Dalton Barnhart's his pseudonym. They're not going to give his real name because he's only 15 years old. During his arrest, the teen's mother told officers that her son was just a little kid playing a video game and he shouldn't be treated like a terrorist for making a joke. They say, "How do we know he's not going to be the kid from Parkland? That he's not going to be the next kid, the kid that shot up Sandy Hook?" So you see how they're referencing all these past shootings. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office on Monday released body camera footage of the arrest saying, "Jokes or not, these type of comments are felonies under the law." So jokes or not, these are felonies. And we'll just see a clip right here.
I, Dalton Barnhart, vow to bring my father's M15 to school and kill 7 people at minimum. And Falcon Warrior 920? Yeah. Who's that? Okay. Go ahead and turn around. Put your hands on your back. He's under arrest currently for making a threat to cause a mass shooting / act of terror. It's a
cause a mass shooting?
Yes. He made a statement, a written threat to plan or to carry out a mass shooting.
But he's just a little kid playing a video game.
And all these kids keep getting arrested. And that's why the FBI and the local law enforcement is spending so much time. Because how do we know he's not going to be the kid from Parkland? He's not going to be the next kid, the kid that shot up Sandy Hook. We don't know that. So when you draw the attention to you by making these statements as they may be jokes, I mean, I wouldn't expect a kid to go, "Yeah, I'm dead serious. I'm going to go shoot everybody up." No, when they're caught, it's a joke. I didn't mean it. It was a joke. That's when you're caught.
But these games, these kids say stuff like that all the time. It is a joke to them. It's a game.
Guess what?
So
guess what?
Wrong.
My time in law enforcement is spent doing. Is arresting these kids.
All right, so you guys get the point. And after the teen made the alleged threat during a gaming discussion on Discord, an anonymous tipster turned in the FBI, a way to turn it into the FBI. Now, maybe this kid would end up going shooting, and people were like, "Well, I'm thankful that they arrested him because, he could have killed somebody." But I guess I'm just curious about where this line is drawn because, it's really, I don't know. I think this is a scary thing, So they're talking about, of course, Detective Howard said, and all these kids keep getting arrested. That's why the FBI and the local law enforcement are spending so much time on this. Because how do we know he's not going to be the kid from Parkland, yada, yada. They talk about Parkland. They talk about Sandy Hook. The mom who became upset during this conversation argued that these kids say stuff like that all the time. It's a joke to them. It's a game. So if I get on there and I say I pledge ISIS and I'm going to blow everybody up, that's the same charge as, what, man, I'm fed up and I'm going to go to school tomorrow and shoot up my school, he told her. So yeah, we're just getting to this point where if you haven't already realized it, that what you say online is going to be used in court against you, especially if you're just, mouthing off. And so the title of this video is "The Confessions of a Former Wannabe School Shooter." Now, I never wanted to be a school shooter, but I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I was in junior high in the late 90s. I was in 8th grade in 1999 when the Columbine shooting happened. And I remember it pretty clearly. And I remember because everybody at school was freaking out. Of course, people were pretty upset and all the parents were, and the teachers were on red alert. And a friend of mine wore a shirt that, he got from like Hot Topic or Spencer's or one of these kind of jokey type stores. And it said, bomb technician. If you see me running, try and keep up. Obviously a joke, sure. Well, I think he got a suspension or he got in trouble in some way and basically was told to take his shirt off or to put it inside out, those sort of things. And myself, I had been in trouble quite a bit in 8th grade. I was getting in a lot of trouble. My parents were telling me if I got in trouble one more time, they were going to send me to juvenile hall. And literally the next day, me and my friends are clowning around in the hallway, and we end up like wrestling around on the ground. And right as a principal, who I'd already had lots of issues with, steps out and says, "Derrick, get in my office." And so I had to go to his office, and basically they were suspending me for, or giving me some kind of detention or something for misconduct in the hall. And I was like begging him, like, "Dude, my parents are gonna freaking kill me, please don't do this." And he didn't care. So I remember walking out of the principal's office into the hallway, and there's nobody in the hallway at this point, at least I thought. And I'm walking out, just frustrated little 14-year-old kid saying like, "I fucking hate this school, I'm gonna burn this place down," or something like that. Something all about burning the school down. And then from behind me, I hear, "You really shouldn't say things like that." And it was one of my teachers who knew me and knew that I was a, troubled kid. You got to understand, when I told you guys a little bit about my background. I was very depressed and suicidal during my early teen years and all the way through high school. So I did have a troubled, kind of home life or whatever, just things that I was dealing with and processing. But I was just speaking out of frustration. So the teacher says, "You really shouldn't say that." And right as she's saying that, the principal was walking back out of his office and says, "What did he say?" And I start, kind of walking very quickly down the hallway, and he's like, "Derrick, get back here," and screaming at me. So I came back and he's like, "What did you say?" And I said, "I was joking." "What did you say?" I said I was going to burn the school down. He's like, "Get back in my office." And they called the cops, and I was given a ticket and I was suspended. And yeah, the year before that in 7th grade, I was caught with the hit list. Not because I was planning on killing a bunch of people, but there was hit lists going around in the media. Go back to this time, 1998, 1999. You had the Columbine shooting, and there were several other shootings around that time. And people at school, at least in my school, were making hit lists of each other. It was just a stupid way for kids to mess with each other. I don't think there was anybody super serious about this, but this was just a way we were clowning on each other. And I happened to get caught in class with my hit list, and that's 7th grade. So I get a detention in 7th grade for having a hit list. In 8th grade, I get a ticket and a suspension for saying I'm going to burn the school down. Then I go to 9th grade. I'm in high school. By 9th grade, and I was one of these kids that had notebooks and binders with serial killers' faces on it, with like Hannibal Lecter and then Jeffrey Dahmer, and I was just into it. Part of it also, I think, was just I like to creep people out. I could see how easily offended and tripped out people were because I was the scary kid who I was cutting myself, I was doing different things, and I think a lot of it was definitely a cry for attention. But I also just like to freak out normies. So part of that, when I got to high school, I had a friend that was in 8th grade and I was in 9th grade. And I remember having a conversation with her and basically telling her, like, "Oh, all these school shooters are just doing it wrong. If I was going to shoot up a school, this is how I would do it." And then I basically said that I had a somewhat detailed plan of like, oh, I would get the blueprints of the school and I would basically have a couple of people at every exit and we would pull the school alarm and then we'd start shooting people who, came running out. And it sounds pretty fucked up to say that, but I was just speaking out of jest. And also I used to say things like, "Yeah, I'm crazy enough to know how to do those things, but I'm also smart enough to know not to do it." I was like, okay, my mind's willing to go to crazy places that some of you won't, but I'm also smart enough not to do it. So anyways, this girl tells her junior high counselor, they call to high school. I get, one of these little slips saying I got to go to the principal's office, and I go to the principal's office, and next thing I know, there's all of the 9th grade principals, including my principal and then the other principals. There's the main principal of the entire high school. There's all these teachers. There's just a room full of people waiting for me. And they're like, "Well, Mr. Broze, apparently you told one of your friends something, and she was very concerned about it, and she called the school counselor, and they didn't do anything. They didn't charge me with anything. They didn't, give me a detention. From what I remember, they basically just said, 'We understand that,' or the principal said, 'I have a feeling you were just trying to act big and talking big to some younger girl that you were speaking to or something. But we want to let you know we'll be keeping an eye on you for the rest of your high school career.'" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And other than that, I didn't have any other trouble. I got into lots of fights. I got arrested at school. They definitely kept their eye on me because I was a troubled kid, but I never had anything else with like trying to come to school with weapons or anything like that. My point is, social media didn't exist yet at that point. But if I was on social media, I probably would have been saying some fucked up things. And Derrick Broze maybe never would have made it to being a journalist or being an activist or any of the things I'm doing now. I might have been tried as a terrorist as a 14-year-old kid or locked up in juvie and then made my way from the school to prison pipeline. And, who the hell knows what would have happened. But these things happen. People do actually shoot up schools. People are actually crazy and angry. There's also false flags. There's also lies being told by the media. There's lots of shady things that don't add up about Sandy Hook and other of these shootings that need to be investigated. And sometimes people are just frustrated. Sometimes people are just playing video games and you just say crazy things online to each other because you're just little kids. You're just shooting off at the mouth. And now those kids are being arrested. And again, I don't know if the answer is to do nothing. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I think that when we start allowing kids and individuals to be arrested for things they haven't done yet, for things they might have said online, whether joking or not, then we're going to get closer and closer to them wanting to arrest us for things that we think, for crime, for thought crimes. And right now, these kids are getting arrested for wrong speak, for making the wrong joke. And we know already there's people who are pushing for censorship of uncomfortable, speech and offensive language and things of that. Now, there's a big leap from saying something offensive about trans people or white people or something, and then saying I'm going to go shoot up a bunch of people. So I don't know what the perfect answer is. I just wanted to offer my experience as somebody who, as I said, had at least 3 different incidents that I can remember, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, involving hit lists, saying I was going to burn the school down, and talking about shooting schools. And this was around Columbine and all these things. That was 20 years ago now, guys. 20 years ago. And in 20 years now, things have expanded. The school shootings are back in the headlines now. And I don't know. So just wanted to share that. I'd love to hear your thoughts if any of you have other things. If any of you got in trouble for saying stupid stuff at school. Or do you think I should have been arrested back then? Do you think these arrests of the kids are justified? And if not, what do you think is the solution? Let's talk about solutions here, all right? That's it, guys. Thank you so much for supporting, for following the Conscious Resistance. If you want to support us even further, you want to sign up for Patreon or Subscribestar, that is appreciated. Or if you'd like to contribute to our crowdfunding campaign, Support the Future of the Conscious Resistance Network, it is running for 2 more days. So that's today, Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday, and it should be wrapping up by Friday. If you want to support that, I would very much appreciate it. We have raised 44% of our goal, almost halfway there. 22 contributors. If we can get this up to 2,500, that would be really great, and I can just continue doing this work. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the support, and until next time, remember, you are powerful, you're beautiful, and you are free. Peace.